Hello, everyone. Hello. Good morning, or good afternoon, good evening. I know we always cover all the basics. How is everybody doing today? All right, we're going to wait just a few minutes and let some people get started. I would like for you to let me know if you can see me clearly and if you can hear me clearly as well. Give me a thumbs up or type it in the chat. And while we are waiting, we are going to see where you're watching from today. So if you can tell me what country you're from or what country you're watching from in the chat, we'll get some shout outs going while we're waiting for everyone to join in on our live lesson for today. Okay, great. Everybody can see me and hear me. Hello, Nepal and Egypt, Turkey and France, India, Japan, Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan, Serbia, Georgia, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Albania. We have people watching from everywhere. Wonderful. Let's wait just one more moment. Keep on sending where you're watching from. We have Bangladesh, Morocco. Where else are you watching from? I see a lot of people watching from India today. Somalia. Hello, Somalia. Hello, South Africa. Hello, Sweden. Okay, everyone, we're gonna jump right in and get started. If you join a little late, don't worry. I'd like to remind you that even though this is a live lesson, we are live streaming. Once the lesson is over, it will be uploaded to Cambly's YouTube channel, so you can go back and watch it again as many times as you need. You can pause it, rewind it, fast forward it, okay? So if you tune in late or you miss something or get a little confused, no worries. You can go back again later and re-watch it. Okay, quickly, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Molly. I am a tutor on Cambly. I am from Tennessee in the United States. However, I live in the country of Ecuador. Currently, I am visiting the United States on vacation. For me, it is 9 o'clock in the morning. So I know for some of you, you're on the other side of the world, and maybe it's your bedtime or your lunchtime. Today, our topic is going to be prepositions, okay? We're gonna spend about 30 to 35 minutes covering our topic of prepositions. We will take a few breaks in between. If you have questions for me, we'll take some time to go over any questions you have. You can put them in the chat. We'll also have some interactive practice that you can help me answer the questions in the chat, all right? So we are going to dive in and get started. Again, today's topic is prepositions, okay? Now this is a really big topic. We actually have over 100 prepositions in the English language, which is a lot. And as you can see, we're not going over all 100 prepositions today because we don't have time, and that would be too much at once. So what we're going to do today is talk about what a preposition is, go over 3 types of prepositions, and then with each type, we're going to go over 3 of the most common prepositions and how they're used, and then do some practice, okay? All right, so who can tell me in the chat, who knows what is a preposition? What is a preposition? When do we use it? How do we use it? Like I said, there are over 100 prepositions. There are a lot. If you know what it is, type it in the chat. Let me see your best definition of a preposition. Good. Okay, a preposition is typically a short word. Most of the time, it is 6 letters or less, a short word. There are some exceptions. And it is a word that links other words in a sentence, okay? It is used to connect people, objects, time, location, and more. A preposition in a sentence is typically followed by a noun or a pronoun. Almost always, there are some exceptions, okay? But almost always, when there's a preposition in a sentence, it's going to be followed by a noun or a pronoun. However, sometimes it can be followed by a verb, only if that verb is a gerund. A gerund means the verb ends in ing, okay? So one important thing about prepositions in a sentence, they're usually followed by a noun or a pronoun. Sometimes they can be followed by a verb that ends in ing. What we're going to do today is take it a little slow. My advice on learning prepositions, just like other concepts and rules in English, is to take a few at a time, study them, practice them. Don't overwhelm yourself with trying to learn all 100 plus prepositions at once. Okay, we are going to start with our prepositions of time. So really quickly, we're going to talk about 3 types of prepositions today. As you can see behind me, we have prepositions of time, of place, and of movement. Okay, these are the 3 types we are going to cover today. So first, we're going to get started with our prepositions of time. Prepositions of time help to indicate when something happened in the past, happens in the present, or will happen in the future. All right? I chose 3 of the most common prepositions of time, which are at, in, and on. So we're going to go through each one of these, when they're used, and look at some examples, starting with our first one, which is at. So we use the preposition at referring to time when we are talking about a precise time or specific points in time. Okay, this also means time on a clock and specific points in time as well, more general. So let's take a look at 3 examples. Hopefully you can read this okay. Our first example is, in the USA and other countries as well, families get together at Christmas time. Our preposition at is being used because our specific point in time is Christmas time. The next example is, I prefer to study at night. Now, if you notice, I have a little star here. I am going to side note this and come back to it in just a moment because there's something important about using at night. And our last example. He finished working at 7 p.m. Okay, we use at as our preposition because 7 p.m. is a precise time on the clock. Anytime we're using a time like this, 7, 6, noon, we're going to use the preposition at. All right, moving on to our preposition in. In is going to be used when we're talking about months in a year, anywhere between January and December. A year, 2012, 2017, 2020. Seasons, so most countries have 4 seasons in a year: summer, winter, fall, or autumn, and spring. However, in Ecuador, we have a rainy season and a dry season, so we also use the preposition in when we're talking about any sort of season. Centuries, 16th century, 18th century, okay? And times of day, times of day. Now you notice I put another star here. I'm going to jump back and cover something really important. Our preposition at is only going to be used with night. However, when we're talking about morning, afternoon, or evening, we're going to use in. By times of day, I don't mean the time on the clock. I mean the period of time, like morning, afternoon, and evening, okay? So if this example said, I prefer to study, and we changed this to morning, we also have to change preposition to in. I prefer to study in the morning. I prefer to study in the afternoon. I prefer to study in the evening. The only exception is night. Night always uses the preposition at, okay? Just a quick side note, something important. Okay, let's look at some examples of our preposition in. I joined Cambly in 2017. 2017 is our year. It's a year. So we must use the preposition in. You can tell me in the chat if you'd like, if you are a student on Cambly, when did you join Cambly? Our next example, it's always cold in January, depending on where you live. In Ecuador, it's not cold in January. So January is a month. Because we're using a month, we must use the preposition in. And our last example, we eat breakfast in the morning. So remember, morning, afternoon, and evening, we'll use the preposition in. However, if we say night, preposition at. Okay? All right, let's move on to our last one before we practice, do some practice. So our last preposition of time we're going to talk about is on. On. We use on when we're talking about days of the week, any day of the week, dates, as in August 23rd, December 25th, okay, so dates on a calendar, and specific holidays or specific holiday days. So let's take a look at what that means and some examples. We don't go to school on Saturdays. Saturday is a day of the week, so we must use on. Can't say we don't go to school in Saturdays because that doesn't make sense. It has to be the preposition on because it's a day of the week. Christmas is on December 25th. December 25th can refer to a specific date and also a specific holiday. And I like to receive presents on my birthday. So my birthday is a specific holiday. I like to receive presents on my birthday. Something else to note is as we're going through today, you'll see sometimes there are other prepositions that we're not talking about today that can be used in the sentence. So prepositions sometimes can be used interchangeably. Other times they can't be used interchangeably because they can change the entire meaning of a sentence, okay? There are many exceptions to the rule. We're going to talk about a few today, but we won't have time to cover all of them. Okay, so let's practice. I have 3 examples, and I'd like you to tell me in the chat which preposition of time belongs in the sentence and why, okay? So give me the correct preposition and tell me why we're using that preposition. All right, our first example is, I prefer to take my Cambly classes blank the morning. Which preposition are we going to use and why? I'm going to give you just a moment to type it in the chat. Make sure you type it in the chat, please. Which preposition and why do we use that preposition? Good, I already see lots of correct answers coming in. Give you just one more second. I see lots of correct prepositions, but some of you didn't tell me why. Okay, good. So the correct answer is in. So I prefer to take my Cambly classes in the morning. Why do we use in? Because the morning is a time of day. It's a time of day. So that's why we're using in. Very good. Let's take a look at the next example. Blank Sundays, Cambly offers live lessons on YouTube. Which preposition belongs in this sentence and why are we going to use that preposition? We'll give everyone just a moment to type the answers in the chat. Very good. Many, many correct answers. Okay, the correct answer for this one is on. On Sundays, Cambly offers live lessons on YouTube. We actually use on twice. We have the same preposition twice in this sentence. So on, why do we use on? Because it is a day of the week, right? Sundays are a day of the week. Very good. And our last example is the meeting will start blank 4:30. Tell me which preposition and why. The meeting will start blank 4:30. Which preposition and why? Very good. You're just one more moment. I think every answer I'm seeing is the correct answer. You guys are so smart. Good. It is at. The correct answer is at. The meeting will start at 4:30. So we use at when we're talking about a precise time, a time on the clock. Anytime you have a time like this, use the preposition at. Very good. Okay, that is it for our prepositions of time. These are 3 really common prepositions. We're going to move on to prepositions of place, and then after we finish this, we'll take a little break for questions, okay? Let me move over to this side. So if you haven't noticed already, we're actually going to cover the same 3 prepositions, at, in, and on. However, they're going to be used with prepositions of place now, not of time, okay? So prepositions of place are just referring to the position of something, okay? We are going to start with our preposition at. So we use at when we're referring to something at a specific point, okay? Or a specific position. Let's look at a few examples. Now I'm going to need your help as I go through these examples, okay? The first one is, the boys waited at the entrance of the theater. What is the specific point of this sentence? Where is the specific point? Why are we using at? The boys waited at the entrance of the theater. Who can tell me? You can type it in the chat. So our specific point here is the entrance of the theater. So anytime we're referring to some sort of specific point, we're going to use at. So our specific point is the entrance of the theater. Let's look at, very good. I see some good answers coming through now. So the next example, he stood at the bus stop for 30 minutes. He stood at the bus stop for 30 minutes. What is my specific point in this sentence? Why am I using at? Give you just a moment to type in those answers. Good. The specific point in this one is the bus stop, right? So you see the pattern. Anytime there's any specific point, we're going to use the preposition at. And the last one, we will meet at the airport in the morning. We will meet at the airport in the morning. The airport is a specific point, so we use the preposition at. Really quickly, another interchangeable preposition that we'll cover in just one moment, in. We can also say, we will meet in the airport in the morning, and it's still correct. And notice we have a preposition down here of time, in the morning. So prepositions are everywhere. All right, very good. Our next preposition of place, like it was in time, is we use in when we are referring to something that is in confined boundaries, okay? By confined boundaries, we can be talking about a building, a house, a box, a backpack, even countries and cities technically have confined borders, okay? So this is when we use the preposition in. Let's look at some examples. Jim is studying abroad in France. We use in because France, yes, it's a country, but France has borders, right? It's confined, a confined country within its own borders. So with countries, cities, regions, we're going to use the preposition in. I left the lemonade in the fridge. I left the lemonade in the fridge. Refrigerator, I say fridge for short. Refrigerator is a confined space. So we need to use the preposition in. And our last example, the children played in the garden. So a garden, you can see where it's confined, right? So in this case, we're going to use the preposition in. I'm going to do a quick side note again and talk about an exception of the rule. When we're talking about a car, we say we are in a car because a car, we're confined inside of it, correct? However, in English, because English is weird and sometimes doesn't make sense, when we talk about being on a train, a bus, or a plane, even though we're in a confined area, we don't use the preposition in. I didn't make the rules, but we say I'm on a bus, I'm on a train, I'm on a plane. So this is one of the exceptions that can sometimes be confusing. But with a car, we say I'm in the car. We don't say I'm on the car. That means we're standing on top of the car. Okay. Our last preposition of place that we're going to talk about, like time, is on. So we use on when we're referring to something with a horizontal or vertical or diagonal surface. For example, or when we're talking about being on a bus or a train or a plane. For example, he hung the picture of his family on the wall. The wall is a vertical surface, so we're going to use the preposition on. And once we finish this, I'm going to take some questions. So if you have questions, just hold them for one more moment, and then I'll take some questions in the chat. The next example, the teacher asked us to read the text on the page. So a page in a textbook is a horizontal surface with words on it. We use the preposition on. And our last example, the waiter placed our plates on the table. The table, again, is a horizontal surface, so we're going to use the preposition on. All right, let's do 3 practice questions. Get your fingers ready to type the correct answer and why we're using that answer. Are you ready? And then we'll take questions right after this activity, okay? All right, our first example. All of my clothes are blank the closet, which, let me scoot to the side so you can hopefully see if you need to refer to the poster. All of my clothes are blank the closet. Which preposition of place are we going to use and why? Why are we going to use it? I'll give everyone just a moment to type your answers in the chat. Good, I see all correct answers, almost all correct answers. The correct answer is in. In. All of my clothes are in the closet. Why do we use in? Because our closet is a confined space, right? We have walls, it's confined. Our clothes are in a space. Correct answer is in. Very good. The next example. The teacher told us to leave our homework blank her desk. The teacher told us to leave our homework blank her desk. Which preposition and why? Which one and why? At, in, or on? I'll give everyone just a moment before I reveal the correct answer. Very good. I see many, many answers flooding in. Okay, great. The correct answer is on. The teacher told us to leave our homework on her desk. Why do we use on? Because her desk is a horizontal surface, right? And we are placing something on that horizontal surface. So we use the preposition on. Very good. And last one, then I will take some questions. She asked me to wait for her, blank, the exit. She asked me to wait for her, blank, the exit. I'd like you to tell me which preposition of place we're going to use and why are we going to use that preposition for practice. Give everyone a moment. Good. I see lots and lots of right answers. Very good. We're going to use at. She asked me to wait for her at the exit. Why do we use at? Because the exit is a specific point. It is a specific point. We're going to use at. Very good. Okay, so a quick recap. These are our prepositions of time and place. They're the same preposition, but they're used in different ways, okay? While I just do a quick recap, if you have questions so far about what we've covered, please type them in the chat. Or if you need to see any of the examples again or need me to repeat something, please type it in the chat before we move on to prepositions of movement. So we have at, in, and on for time. At is for precise times. In is for months, years, seasons, centuries, times of day. On is for days of the week, specific dates and holidays. And for place, at refers to a specific point. In refers to something that is inside or confined. And on refers to something that has a horizontal, vertical, or diagonal surface. All right? I'm going to take just a moment and look through to see if there are any questions that you have before we continue. Good. Someone said very easy to understand. I am glad that it is easy for you. Someone asked if you can use at the garden instead of in. So you cannot. In the garden. I'm working in the garden. I'm growing vegetables in my garden. We can't use the preposition at when we're talking about the garden. Okay, which is correct, at the school or in the school? It depends on the context of the sentence. So I can say, I'm at school, right? It means I'm at a specific point, which is school. Or if someone is looking for me, I say, oh, I'm in the school. Not outside of the school, but in the school. So it depends on the context of what you're saying. Both can be used, though. At school can be used because you're at a specific location, or in the school because you're in the confined space of the wall. So it depends on what you're trying to say or communicate. Great question. Okay. The exceptions of on, we talked about a few of those. So instead of saying in a bus, in a train, in a plane, we use on a bus, on a train, on a plane. On the sheet or in the sheet, we use on the sheet. It depends. Are you talking about a sheet of paper or a sheet for the bed? On the sheet is going to be a sheet of paper. It's a surface, right? So the words on the sheet. I'm going to write on the sheet. Okay, let me just look really quickly, and I think we're going to move on. Stop on my place or stop at my place is going to be stop at my place, because at my place, we're meeting at a specific location, a specific point. So I need to stop at my place before we go, okay? Now, if you're wanting to say you need to go inside, I need to go in, grab my keys, because you're going into your home. Okay, we're gonna move on. Once we finish this one, I'll just do a couple more minutes of questions. So if I didn't get to your questions, I'll let you type it again in just a moment, all right? Let's move on to our last preposition, which is prepositions of movement. Prepositions of movement describe how someone or something move from one place to another. So oftentimes prepositions of movement are used with verbs of motion. Okay, and we'll see that a little bit once we get into the examples. So we're changing up the prepositions. We're not going to use the same ones. So let's start with our preposition to. To is the most common preposition of movement. We use to when we're describing movement in the direction of something. Anytime you're moving in the direction of something, we are going to use the preposition to. So let's look at a few examples. How do you go to work? This is a question I'm asking. How do you go to work? Work is the direction in which we're moving, so we're going to use the preposition to. The next example. She drove to the zoo with her family. The zoo is the direction in which we're moving. We use the preposition to. She drove to the zoo with her family. And the last one. I'll travel to the beach next month. Okay, next month I will be going in the direction of the beach. I will travel to the beach next month. This one I think is a pretty self-explanatory, simple preposition. And like I said, it's the most common. We use this preposition every day when we're speaking in English. Okay, our next preposition of movement is going to be from. From indicates the place where something or someone starts, okay? So where they begin or where they start. They're probably going somewhere else, but we use it to talk about where they're starting. So for example, he flew from Madrid to Istanbul. I don't know if there's flights from Madrid to Istanbul. I just created this example. Maybe he has some connecting flights. So he flew from Madrid. Madrid is where he started. And if you haven't noticed already, we have the other preposition to in the same sentence because the direction we're moving is to Istanbul. So we use two prepositions. He flew from Madrid to Istanbul. The next example, the teacher took our homework from us. The teacher took our homework from us. Where does the homework start? Us, right? We have the homework, it begins with us, and the teacher takes it from us. So then it moves to the teacher. And the last example, did you walk home from school today? We use from because our origin, where we started, is school. Did you walk home from school today? All right, let's move on to our last one, then we'll practice and I will take some questions, okay? Our last preposition of movement is through. We use through when we're talking about a movement in one side of something and out of the other side. Okay, we can also use through when we're referring to areas, and I'm going to get to that in our examples. So our first example, the train moved quickly through the tunnel. So a tunnel, you must enter on one side and exit out of the other. So our preposition has to be through. Okay, the second example, someone threw a baseball through my window today. I did this on purpose. So we have the verb throw in past tense becomes through, but it's a different word than our preposition through because English is weird. Someone threw a baseball through my window today. This means it started on one side of the window and came out onto the other side, inside of my house. And our last example, they spent their day walking through the zoo. So remember in red, I wrote it can also refer to an area. So a tunnel and a window aren't an area. However, a zoo is an area. So if you start at one part of the zoo and go all the way to the exit, you are walking through the zoo. You can also say we ran through the park. I drove through Barcelona. I'm driving from one point to another. So through can be used also for area. All right, let's do a quick practice. I see everyone says it's clear. That's great. So let's practice with these 3 prepositions of movement. Then I'll take some more questions and we're going to do a practice of all of them, and then we'll be done with our lesson for today. All right, we trekked blank the forest in the pouring rain. That doesn't sound like a fun hike. We trekked blank the forest in the pouring rain. Which preposition and why? Which one and why? Maybe there's more than one answer, depending on the context. All right. Actually, I see a lot of different answers. So there are more than one correct answer. The one that I chose is through. I noticed some people said 2. That can be correct. Let's say we are parked in a parking lot and it's pouring rain and we need to get to the forest so that we can hike. That means we trekked from our car to the forest. Once we get to the forest and we start our hike, then we're trekking through the forest from the start point until the exit, okay? We can also use the preposition in. We trekked in the forest in the pouring rain. All of these are correct. Remember, sometimes prepositions can be interchangeable. So this is a great example. So we can say through, to, or in, and all are correct. I chose through. Very good. The next example. I'm too lazy to walk blank the supermarket today, so I'll go tomorrow. Which preposition and why? I'm too lazy to walk blank the supermarket today, so I'll go tomorrow. Let's say I'm at home. I'm at home being lazy, to put it into context for you. Very good. I see lots of correct answers. So the right answer is 2 with the context we're using. Let's say it's Sunday morning, I'm in bed and I'm feeling too lazy to walk to the supermarket, in the direction of the supermarket. So I will just go tomorrow. Good job. Okay, and our last example. The drive blank Nashville to Miami is too long. So these are cities in the US, Nashville and Miami. The drive blank Nashville to Miami, too long. Which preposition is correct and why? Very good. Good job. The correct answer is from, okay? Why are we using from? Because Nashville is where we're starting. And if you didn't notice, we have the other preposition to, because Miami is the direction we're going. So we're driving from Nashville to Miami. We're using both prepositions in this one. Great job. Very good. Okay. Really quickly, I know we're almost out of time. I just want to go through a couple of examples using all of these. So what I'm going to do is show you the example. I want you to type in the chat if it is a preposition of time, place, or movement, and then tell me the correct preposition, okay? Those are your directions. Tell me if it's time, place, or movement, and then tell me which is the correct preposition. Are you ready? All right. The first one. I like to watch fireworks blank New Year's. I know it's kind of hard to see all the posters, so you have to do this from your memory. I like to watch fireworks blank New Year's. Is this time, place, or movement, and which preposition? I'm going to give everyone just a moment. Remember to tell me time, place, or movement, and which preposition. You can do it in the same answer if you'd like. Good job. Okay, this is a preposition of time because we have New Year's, which is a holiday, and the correct preposition is on. Why do we use on? Because it's a specific holiday. I like to watch fireworks on New Year's. On New Year's. Good job. All right, next one. They walked blank the park for 1 hour. They walked blank the park for 1 hour. Time, place, or movement, and which preposition are we going to use? Give everyone just a moment. I know we're moving fast, but this is the last activity, and then we're going to finish up. Good. This one has more than one answer, okay? So you can use a preposition of movement or place. You can say they walked in the park for 1 hour, or they walked through the park for 1 hour. Or they walked to the park. Maybe they're walking from their home to the park and it takes 1 hour. So this one has more than one correct answer. Very good. Okay, let's do one more and then we'll be done. They walked blank the baseball field, blank the bus station. This one has two prepositions you need to decide. They walked blank the baseball. That's supposed to say baseball field. Baseball field. They walked blank the baseball field, blank the bus station. Maybe just a moment. Good. I see a few right answers. I see some that can also be correct. So what I would say on this one is they walked from the baseball field to the bus station. Or you could say they walked through the baseball field to the bus station. It depends on your context, okay? The second one is to, but the first one can be from or through. Very good. All right, I'm just going to take one quick moment to take any questions you may have over anything we've covered today from our 3 types of prepositions or the 3 prepositions with each one. If you asked a question earlier and I didn't get to it, just type it again in the chat and I'll take a moment to answer any questions you have. While you're thinking of those questions, I'd like to remind any of you, if you joined the lesson late today, this will be uploaded to Cambly's YouTube channel. So you can go back and watch from the beginning, pause it, rewind it, fast forward it, watch it as many times as you need. All right? Let's see what questions you have. At the weekend or on the weekend? It's on the weekend. That's an exception to the rule. When we talk about the weekend, we're referring to the weekend, we say on the week. Good question. Please move aside. All right, I'm going to move aside just for a moment. So if you want to take a photo, remember again, you can go back to this video afterwards and pause it and take a screenshot if you'd like. There's all of the information for you. Okay. Let's see. What's best, worth watching or worth to watch? Worth watching with a gerund. It's worth watching. Good question. Very good. In time or on time? That depends on the context. So I arrived to work on time, or I arrived just in time for the meeting. So it depends on the context of what you're saying. I didn't arrive to school on time, or I didn't arrive in time to take the test. At home or in home, both are technically correct, but most of the time when we're just saying, I'm at home, we use the preposition at, like I just said. Oh, I'll be at home, or today I'm going to spend all day at home. At home is more common than in home, even though it's a confined place. Okay, prepositions will get easier for you. Something important to remember, as I stated before, there are over 100 prepositions in the English language, so take a few at a time and study them, practice them. Once you've mastered them, you can move on to prepositional phrases. I'm sure some advanced students maybe are working on their prepositional phrases. Just be patient. Learning is a process. make mistakes. I like to say, if you're not making mistakes, you're not learning, right? It's all a part of learning. So that is all for today. Very quickly, for any new students who are not a student on Cambly, anyone watching today, I wanted to quickly tell you what Cambly is. So Cambly is an English learning platform for global students who are wanting to learn English, practice their speaking, practice grammar, pronunciation, all of that with a native speaker. So you have one-on-one lessons with a native speaker. You can choose whatever tutor you like to work with, what accent you like to work with. We have tutors who are living all over the world. We have American English, British English, Irish with an Irish accent, Scottish accent, all of that, Australian as well. We have many, many tutors. So if you are interested in joining Cambly after watching this lesson, I have a promo code for you today. You can get up to 33% off of annual plans if you sign up with this code, which is just the word PREP, P-R-E-P, PREP. This will be down underneath the video after we finish the live. So if you forget what that code is, you can go back in and look at the description, okay? And you'll have that promo code. And this is it for our lesson on prepositions for today. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your Sunday to tune in and learn a little bit more about prepositions. Thank you for all of your great questions. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening. Get some rest, and I hope to see you on Cambly. Bye, everyone.